Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. We have another Sunday morning tee time after ASG Golf last week, as this week we're playing ASG Golf from ASG Games. Again, another golf simulator. Very similar to APA, but it's a little bit different. It seems to be a simpler version of APA Golf, and I'll talk a little bit more about it A, at the end of this video, and B, during Pinot with Phoenix coming up on Saturday. We've got a different course lined up for you today, as today we'll be playing at Augusta National. Augusta National is, of course, home of the Masters tournament. And as it is the first round, it might be a little bit hard to see from this distance, but there are 4 pins that we're going for. We're going to use the round 1 pin today. And the golfer we're taking out Phil Mickelson. You can see here we only have 3 columns. We got our woods, irons, and putting. I forget what the approach is, how you handle approach shots, but I'm sure it'll come back to me as I dust off this game. It has been a while since I've played this one. Okay, looks like it's based on whatever your iron rating is. So you call out the distance, and then you roll on the iron column. Okay, that makes sense. Let me bring that back up. I've got an arrow token. I've got an Arkham Horror card game arrow path token that I'll be using to denote where the ball is. Of course, on the first hole, we don't have a tee that we can denote, but I think I'm rambling a bit. We're all set up, so let's get into this one. Much like Apple will be rolling 2 dice, we'll be rolling smaller dice. Just like an Apple, we'll be using the red, then the white to roll D66. And then the blue die is actually new for ASG Golf. We'll be using that to determine our direction on the flight. So that'll be our left-right flight direction. So looking at our first hole, we've got a lot of forest here. We got a lot of deeper rough from the looks of it. We've got a sand trap over here on the fairway, and then we've got another one as we head up toward the green. Ben Witt's joining us here at Augusta National. Welcome in. Checking out this golf game for the first time. Good to know. Hopefully I'll do a reasonable job of this one. It's been a while since I've played ASG Golf. I played APA Golf, kept it as simple as I could, and really enjoyed it. So it might be a little bit hard to see, but there is a bold center line here that we mostly will be using. Unlike APA, though, unlike in APA Golf, we are not tied to that center line. We can move around on that, and that becomes our center line. We just have to knock some distance off for how far we move off the center line, and I know there's a chart in here for that. Let's see, wedge shot, distance aimed, okay. I think that's it. But before we get into all of that, we do need to roll for weather. So we're going to have to make 3 rolls here. First roll we're going to make is for course conditions, second number for wind strength, and the third number is going to be for wind direction. So from the dice I had, I'm going to roll red for course conditions, white for wind strength, and the blue for wind direction. If I can ever get them back in the shaker. Okay, 3 was course conditions, so we've got normal course conditions. I'm just making some notes so I can keep an eye on. Just making some notes off shot, so I can make sure I keep what's the word I want? So I can make sure I follow the weather rules throughout the course of the round. A 3 on the white die is actually calm wind, so we won't need anything on the wind, which I'm very much thankful for. That we're going to have a calm day, so we don't have to worry anything about. So we don't have to worry anything about the wind on this course. And I believe that's a this hole only note where, yep, looks like for this hole we deduct 10 yards from the flight of all tee shots. Speaking of which, we are on the first tee. Again, it's down here off the shot of the hole, so that's the best we're going to have to work with. I think here we don't do anything cute. We just grab the driver, hit it on the center line, and just grip it and rip it. So just to show off the chart and how everything's laid out. There are charts here for every club you could think of. So I've got everything in a binder. We'll use the number we get from our result on Mickelson's card to come to our number, which will give us our flight, and then the blue die will give us the movement left and right. Again, that's probably a little bit hard to see with the glare due to the sheet protector I've got in there, but that's the general idea of how everything works there. So, if we are all set, let's say I stop rambling on this and we actually finally get to the first tee. That's a 33. Hopefully that'll be pretty good with a wood. Ooh, that's a 12, which is actually 12 is actually going to be a long drive. So there's a separate long drive table over here that we get into, that we have. So the blue die is a 3. So 12 and 3 is going to be 295 on, and we hit that on we basically hit that one on the screws. So 290 and roll 45. 295, roll 45. So we go to, let's see. So we hit into a dog leg. So 250, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90. Oh, that's going to be a problem. 5. Looks like we had stopped by a forest here. So 25 roll. So 295 roll 5. That's not a completely terrible shot. We just have to worry about forest a little bit. And I know there's a chart for that. So I'm going to be bouncing back and forth a lot between charts here. At least I thought there was a... Oh, we have to actually deduct 10 from the flight of from the flight. So we only got 285. So hold on, backing up. So we were at 2, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85. We still are going to have the same forest problem, but we're down there. All right, that's not completely terrible, but I am going to have to move quite a ways. Actually, I've got my flags here. I've got a bunch of post-it flags that I use to keep track of where I am. So I think I was about here. And then this is actually the token I'm going to use for aiming my shots. So for our second shot, considered in the trees. Okay, so we are... So now I've got to figure out what I want to do with this. That was all 3s on there. I just now realized that. So now I have to figure out what we want to do with coming out of that tree spot. So it looks like we're in, I believe that would be considered as medium trees. I don't suppose there's a way in the rules to denote that. Greens are represented by darkest green, lightest green, the fairway. More detailed, use the optional tree charts. Well, that's not telling me what I wanted to hear. I think Augusta's probably going to have... it doesn't really say on here what kind of trees those are, but that's definitely not water, because I actually got confused with that one of the first times I played this game. So I think here we probably are just going to punch it out to... Actually, we might just have to roll for... Oh, I think we roll for the shot that we can hit it with. So, is that how that works? I think so. All right, so fortunately we're only one square in. It's considered in the tree if it's on a tree-covered square and more than one full square of tree lies between the ball and the green, which there's... Well, we're not too far in the tree, so it seems like it's pretty thin. May elect to chip back to the center line or take an unplayable lie. I think we're just going to chip it out and play it safe. So chip out, which is going to take a 26 to 50 yard approach shot. Now let's see if I can, 26 to 50. Okay, so that's a shorter wedge shot. Mickelson's iron rating is a 3, which I'll need that going into the chart. So we're going to take a 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Let's go 30. Let's go for a 30-yard chip shot. See if we can put this, see if we can get this back to the, see if we can get this back. So his iron rating is a 3. 21 is a 3P. I forget what 3P means. Probably hitting it on the pin. So we're coming out of the rough. Wait a minute. Oh, I think we're chipping back to the center line. That's right. So that's a 3, which means we're coming out of the rough. So it looks like we are going to get that back to the, looks like we are going to take that exactly where we want it to go. So we're going to call that a perfect chip. So now we're down here, which is exactly where I wanted to be. Now as far as our distance to the green, we are 5, 10, 1, actually we're going for the pin. 1, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. Do I have something I can hit 155? It's probably not going to be a sand wedge. Pitching wedge. Well, we are from the fairway, so I do need to keep that in mind. I think from a 3 on the iron. With 3 on the iron, we probably want a 9 iron. At least I think that's going to be the plan here on an average shot. I'm going to try to aim. I'm going to try to aim this one. I'm going to try to aim this one dead center if I can. So we're going right for the pin. That's a 63 on an iron. That's a 3 actually. So 3P. I believe when a P is in the result, it lands on the pin. Let me just get a look at that. Trying to see if there's something that explains what the P is in the result. So bear with me while I look at that. That's not going to be explained in the chart most likely, because of course it won't be. Because that would make too much sense, and we can't have that now, can we? Directional signals, that's not what I want. Followed by letter modifiers. Golfers varying their accuracy on short. That's okay, so that must only affect us on approach shots. At least I believe is where that's going to end up. So let me. Yep, okay. So we weren't. Okay, so that's only. Not in today's world, no, nothing makes sense. Yeah, clearly. All right, so what did we establish? 63 was actually 63 is a 4. So that'll be 150 with no roll, which means we are going to come up pretty short. So we were going for the pin. I think we said we wanted. Actually, no, we actually are going to land right about here. So we're going to end up one straight segment away from the pin. Let me put this to the side. And I believe it's going to be some distance minus dice. It's going to be some length. Putt length determination. Okay, so following chart, if it stopped on the pin, which means we didn't, so roll 2 dice to determine the actual distance. So we ended up 5 yards away. Looks like we are 15 minus 2 dice. So I'll get a dice roll for that. Seven, so we are 8 feet away. And they want us to use putting chart 2. That's one unique thing about ASG Golf, is it's got several different putting charts depending on the layout of the hole. So now I've got to find putting chart 2. And from 8 feet away, we're in on a lot of numbers here. So now we go to... So now Mickelson's going to try to make this putt to save par. Was there anything special I needed to worry about on the hole? No. All right, so trying to save par on an 8-foot putt. That's a 65, which is a 34. I don't think that's in somehow. So this was an 8-foot putt. 34, no, that's going to be... We're going to leave that 3 feet away. So now we have a 3-foot putt, which should be in most cases. .25 is a 7. Yeah, that should be in. On a 3-foot putt, yep, a 7 will be in. So we end up 2-putting the green to go 1 over on the hole, and so far we're 1 over on the day. Not a great way to start the day. Although, to be fair, last week when we took Tiger out in ASG Golf, he had an absolute disaster of a day. So looking at our second hole, we've actually got a pair of dog legs. And this is one thing I don't like about ASG Golf. Yes, the courses are cheaper, but you don't really get to see where the tee is, so you don't have that initial consideration of the hole. Because what if I have an absolutely terrible drive and I end up with an absolutely garbage lie? I don't get to see that when I'm looking at the initial hole. So I think I'm going to try to put this drive right about there is where I'm looking for this to go. Whereas in ASG Golf, at least in my opinion, and I'm sure if Jester comes in and watches this later, he'll correct me on that, but there's a lot more times where with ASG Golf, you see the tee on the ASG Golf holes a lot more than you don't. Because of the 11 by 17 layout of those courses. So you actually get to see more of the tees, and you're able to consider that in your initial shots. So once again, I think Mickelson's going to grab the driver, and he's just going to grip it and rip it. That's a 45 on a wood, which is a 3. That should be a pretty good shot. 270. And a 2 is going to be left 5. So yes, I hit it on the center line. So 270, left 5. Which means we're going to end up not too far off the mark from where I wanted it. So this is going to go right there. And that is one thing I will say about ASG. This is one thing I like about ASG Golf. In fact, let me actually grab an ASG Golf course so I can show you what I'm going to be talking about in a second here. Opening closet door. Actually, rather than digging one out, I'll take a bound course. So you may be noticing here that ASG Golf has more of what you'd consider a flyover on the hole, where it's almost like you're considering it as you're the actual golfer. Whereas with the ASG Golf courses, it's more of a... Let me put this down for a second. It's more of like a side... It's more of like a... How do I want to describe this? It's almost like an... I want to say a top flyover, but that's not exactly the word I want for it. It's more of a side view of the hole. So it's maybe a little bit harder to envision the left and the left-right on the flight. Where yes, you could lay it down. Like that to get more of that golfer bird's eye view of how I'd put it. But then you lose track of your course notes and everything else you need to account for here. So it's all in a layout decision. And I know that's kind of rambly, but overview from the side. Thank you. That's where I was trying to go with it. closing closet door. It's an overview from the side as opposed to heading out. I think that's probably the best way to put it. So good thing you're here to help keep me straight on that, Ben. Anywho, coming back to the hole after that mild ramble on stylistic choices between APA and ASG, I think here we're just going to... I think we're going to move 10 yards over on our center line. And I want to put this one... We're going to go 5 off the center line, and I'll try to put this one about... I can hit it longer than that. Yeah, that's kind of what I like. I like having that landscape view a lot better on the APA holes. So here, I think we're just going to grab the... I don't really want to rip this one. I kind of want to hit this one with a little bit of finesse, but... Because this is actually a par 5, 575. So I think here I want to go... I think here I want a... My average is a 3 again. So here I think I want my 3 iron. And now I'm going to try to put this one... I'm going to try to put this one about here in an ideal world. So I'm... Actually, let me grab another arrow. Actually, let's do this. I'll use a different colored arrow. I'll use a different colored flag. So this red one is where the ball currently is. I'm going to use my yellow flag to denote where my new center line is going to be. So we're using a 3 iron, and let's see what Mickelson can do with this shot. Actually, wait a minute. I just realized that the pin is actually... I think once I account for the dog leg, I think I'm in line. I think I'm basically in line with the hole, so never mind that. I actually don't think I want to move it that far. I think I want to end up right here. I want to try to aim this one dead straight if I can, but that's not... Actually, maybe we do want to aim a little bit to the right, because then a left spin will actually bring it back. So I'm going to go back to... I am going to go back to my original plan and aim... Actually, we're going to aim 10 off the center line. And I'll count on some left flight to maybe bring it back to at least the center line. That's a 63 on an iron, which is going to be a 4. 63 is a 4, so 220. And that's a 6, so we're dead straight on the center line that we hit it on. So right 0 and roll 20. I've not been accounting for that. Okay? So the ball flies, what did we say? 220. So 275, 475, 5, 10, 15, 20. Let's see. Dead straight and roll 20. But we're in the rough, so we're cutting that in half. So 5, 10. So we're ending up here. Okay. So that kind of didn't work the way I had in mind. So what do I want to do here? I do want to... This one I'm going to have to move quite a bit. So here I want to move 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So I'm going to need to move 40 back to the left. So, okay, this moved on me again. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So I want to be 10 left of the center line. Which means since I'm aiming 40, I'm going to have to account for at least another... I have to account for at least another 10 yards, depending on what club I want to go for here. So that's 40 left. Let's see. 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 105, 110. So I'm going to get a total of 110 out of this, which means I want actually I think I want a wedge shot here. So yeah, I think we're going to go for a wedge. What do we want? 110. All right. So we only need the 2 dice. So let's see what happens with this wedge shot from 110. 42 on an iron shot is going to be a 2P. From any terrain, add 12 numbers. So 42 is a 2, so we add 12 to that, which means it becomes a 14. So since we're coming from the rough, what's the depth? Based on the... I think I did determine we were aiming for... We'll say we were aiming for the pin and all of that calculation. So 110, aiming for the pin. So what did we say? That was a 42 is a 2 plus 12 is 14. So 14. We ended up pin high, which means on all pin high, we reroll 2 dice, and if the result is a 66, we hole it out. Which that is very much not a 66. That's a 34. So we're going to... All right, so we land right on top of the pin, which means we have to roll for... I believe after that we roll a die for distance. This one we're on putting chart... we use putting chart 1. But I still need to solve the question of, okay. Right, I still need to solve the question of what happens if I land pin high and the shot doesn't hole out. I believe if the shot doesn't hole out, it's probably something like 10 minus die. Okay, here we go. So on hole, 1 die. And I think the more I play this game, the more I'm starting to like having the rules built in with APA a lot better. Everything seems a lot more clear, I think, with APA. A 4 means we're going to end up 3 feet away. That's just my opinion on the matter anyway. So we end up on the pin, which means that flag can come out of shot. And then we're going to try a 3-foot putt for birdie. We're in on most everything from the looks of it. That's a 13, which on putting is a 14. I'm pretty sure that's going to be in 3 feet. 13 is a 14, and yep, that is most definitely in. So 1 minus 1 brings us down to even par on the day. Which means that's it for the second hole. Now we go into our third hole, which let me bring my pen up here so I can point some things out. Actually, I'll probably just leave it down here. It might be a little bit harder to see, but hopefully you guys can follow my pen with what I'm pointing out. So here's our center line. We've got a bit of forest that we need to get clear of. Tee way down here, which I'm realizing I actually don't like. I've kind of ranted on that a little bit, but I don't like having the tee off shot. So we follow the center line up, and the pin we're aiming at is the red pin, which is actually just 5 off the center line, so not terrible at all. I think here we just looks like a pretty straight shot, which, again, I don't like not having the tee, so I can't vision that. I think once again, we just grab the driver and grip it and rip it. I do have another golf game that I'm probably going to put on the channel at some point in the next couple of weeks, because I'm coming into my December PTO and this year's Advent of the Phoenix. So we're going to be seeing a major content explosion on the channel. Woods average is a 3, so about 270 is where I want to put that. And I think we're going to aim it right about there on 5. Actually, let's go 5 left as being my center line. And let's see what happens here. That's a 53, which with the woods is a 3, so that's perfect. So 270. 275 is going to be either left 35 or right 5. I will definitely take right 5 on that. So let's go 270, right 5. And roll is 35. 25, 35. Anything I need to factor in here? No. Okay, so we end up with a beautiful drive straight on the center line. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So let's go for an approach 40. I'm going to move my, it's actually wedge 40, and we're going to aim for the pin. So what was that? That was 270, right 5, roll 35. Okay, so we want a wedge 40, and we're going to aim for the pin. And I moved once again left 5 for my center line. I don't need the blue die for this wedge shot. I'm so used to calling it approach shot, an approach shot from APA. So I'm probably going to float between wedge shot and approach, but I'm using the two interchangeably. Let's see what happens here. So we need an iron shot here based on an iron rating of 3. That's a 34, which is a 4. 34 as a 4. And so you're aiming for the pin. We end up pin high. So very nice shot there by Mickelson. Let's see if he holds it out. This is a par 4. That's a 42. He won't hold it out. But he will end up right on the pin, and we'll see where the hole is. So we're on, let's see, double the result of any short approach shot from 25 yards closer. So it was pin high, so we don't have to worry about any doubling there. All right, rolling for where the putt lands. That's a 2. That's a 1. That'll be a 1-foot putt. That should basically be a tap in for birdie. And we're going for putting chart 1. So here's our 1-foot putt for birdie. That's a 35 on a putt. 35 is a 10, and I'm almost certain on a 1-foot putt that'll be in. Yep, that'll be in. So Mickelson now dropping to 1 under on the day. And that's it for the 3rd hole. Let's take our first look at our 4th hole here at Augusta. Our first hole where we can actually see the tee. Look at that. Okay. We've got a little bit of sand that we need to get over the top of, and our pin this time is 10 left of the center line, which is where I think we're going to aim that. So we're going to try to aim that dead straight. The question is, let's see, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95. Do I have anything that hits 195 on an average result? His average is a 3 on irons. Maybe I'm looking for a 5 iron here. 5 iron, I think, is even a little too much club. Hmm. So I'm either looking at a 5-iron or a 6-iron. I think we're going to hit... I think we're going to go for the... Oof. Do I want to put more... let me look at the notes here. Maybe play this hole under strong conditions. So if playing under calm and light wind, play this hole under strong wind conditions and make a directional roll as per instructions on hole 1. So we have to roll for... So we have to roll for direction on wind. Good thing I paid attention to that. So making a directional wind. That's a 1. Wind direction is a tailwind. So we've got the wind at our backs. Just going to make a note here. Tailwind 1124. Yes, I know my handwriting is absolutely terrible. We're playing under a tailwind, which means I don't need to put as much club into it. So now so what does the tailwind do? It adds at least... The tailwind should add, actually that's probably going to be better explained in the rule book, but a tailwind should add some type of yardage to the shot. Let's see, weather conditions and wind. Maybe it's explained on the first hole what the tailwind actually does. Tailwind is going to add something to the shot, I'm sure of it. And of course it doesn't explain that. Actually, yeah. Wonder if there's got to be a separate wind chart for this. Or is it under... Okay, wind. So wedge shots under strong wind. That's not explaining what I want it to. Aiming chart, wedge. Confound it all. Ladies charts, it won't be in there, of course. Okay, this is actually kind of irritating. I think in order to not hold the video up, we're just going to say it adds 5 yards just to make my life simple. So I think with 5 yards in mind, we are going to grab the 6-iron. And I'm looking to put this one right on the pin if I can. So actually that's where we're aiming. 5-10, we'll bring that back in line with the tee, and that's where we're aiming. All right, so we're looking for a 6-iron, and we're aiming for the pin. Let's see what happens on this shot. That's a 22, which is a 36. Yikes. Actually, a 36. Use the iron rating for the result number. Okay. So his iron rating is a 3. 190, which is 195. So 195 with a 5 for no flight left or right and roll 5. So that actually was not a bad shot at all. So we're going to end up 1 length away. So we're 15 feet minus 2 dice. So we're 15 feet minus 7, so we're 8 feet away. And we need putting chart 4 for the first putt. So from 8 feet away, let's give our first putt a roll, see if we can get a birdie out of this. That's a 24, which on a putt is a 36. Oh boy, that's not going to be good. 36 is going to be 3 feet away. So now we've got a 3-foot putt trying to save par. .61 is a 20 from 3 feet away. That will save par. So we 2-putt even. We're still 1 under on the day. So now moving up to the 5th hole. Holy cow. So we've got at least 1 dogleg up here that we need to factor in for. I think to start this hole, we're just going to... I think we just probably just grab the driver, grip it, and rip it. Excuse me. Yeah, grip it and rip it I think is a pretty good solution. So we want to put this one... We're going to have to keep in mind that dogleg, too. Let's aim... Let's try to put it about 10... Let's try to put this one about 270, 10 off the center line, so I can have my dogleg be a little bit easier, so I can have the dogleg be a little bit easier to hit into. That's a 15, which is a 1, so Mickelson's going to kill this one. 280. 6 is going to be no flight. And roll 35. So we put this 280. Doesn't fly left or right. And roll 15. And roll 35. I can't read my own writing, apparently. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And we land in the forest. So we land right about here. That's rather unfortunate. And this is a par 4, 455-yard hole, by the way. So if we're that stymied in the trees, I think we just want to... I think we're just going to chip this one out. We're going to chip this one out. Let's see. Looking at that as our line. Let's chip this one back. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Let's go for a 45-yard chip out on this one. So we're going to go find a wedge shot. 50 to 26. Based on an iron rating of a 3. We only need the 2 dice. That's a 26 on an iron, which is a 5. So 5. We're aiming for the middle of the fairway, so we have a -5 on our target. So we're going to land that one. So we were targeting here, I believe. So we're going to end up here, which is basically where we wanted to be. And I think since we're there, we're basically right in line with the pin. So 125, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So we're 155 away. What do I have that hits 155 off the fairway? Let's see, I want something that hits 155 at an average rating of a 3. I'm probably looking for an iron. 155 looks like a 9-iron shot. So yeah, let's go for a 9-iron shot. Careful not to let the blue die go flying on me. So that's the pin we're aiming for, and I think we're going right for it. That's a 53 on an iron shot. That's a 2, which a P won't affect us since this is an approach shot. So a 2 on a 9-iron is going to be 160. We put a little too much. So 160 with no flight and roll 5. So we end up 160, and we're back in the sand. Actually, since we landed on the green with that. So we landed here, which means we've got to roll for what happens since it kicked. So there's a little note on here. You might not be able to see it, but we have to roll to see what happens with the ball kicking. That's a 3, so the ball stays straight, and now we account for our roll 5, and now we have our aforementioned plunk landing in the sand. So we overshot the green a little bit, which means we've got a 10-yard approach. We got a 10-yard wedge shot coming out of the sand. So I know we've got a... Oh, there are separate charts. I'm an idiot. There are separate wind charts in here based on the kind of wind you've got. So headwind, tailwind. I didn't find those charts, so my apologies on that. Anyway, we need a 10-yard approach shot based on an iron result of a 3, and I think we're aiming for the pin. This is our only shot to save par on this hole. That's a 16 on an iron shot. 16 is a 5. 3 is a 5. So we are going to end up pin high. We need to see if the shot holds out. We need a 66 in order to save par. Which, of course, that is a 51. So we don't save par. But we do get to roll for... Wait a minute. Okay, we didn't have anything... Right, we didn't have anything happen there. So now we have to roll. We're on putting chart. Actually, where was that stupid putting chart? Here we are. So since we did land pin high, we have to see how far away we are. 3 should be a 2-foot putt. Yep. And we need putting chart 2. Okay, let's see what Mickelson can do with his first putt for a bogey. So now we're on the pin. .65 on a putt is a 34 from 2 feet away. That will be in. So we end up 1 putting the green, but we're at 1 over, bringing us back to even par on the day. We'll at least do the front 9. I don't know if we're going to do the back 9 here or not, because I can tell. Right, here's the tee. We've got a par 3, 180. Nothing special to worry about here. Add 5 to the flight of all tee shots. Our pin on this hole is 10 to the right of the center line. We've got a sand trap that we've got to come over the top of. So we're going to make our center line 10 right and try to aim straight in line for the pin. So that's where we're aiming, and we want to go 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. So we're looking at 180 off the tee. But we need to remember that we're adding 5 to the flight of the tee shot. So that means I want a club that can hit 175. So the question is, what do I have in my repertoire that on an average of 3 for irons hits, what did we say? I think we said 180, right? 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. Yeah, 180. So I need something that hits 175 on an average 3 off the fairway. And unfortunately, I'm looking at between a 7 and an 8 iron. I think we're going to go with the 7 iron. And I'm going to aim. Do we want to aim dead on the pin, or do I want to go 5 off either way? If I go 15, if I go 5 more to the right, that's going to pull me to having to add more distance. I think we're going to aim 5. I think we're going to aim 5 left or 5 right, or 5 left of the pin. That's where I think we're going to go with that. That way I can hopefully get a little bit of. I'm more likely to have right flight on this coming off the tee than I am. Oh, I forgot about roll. Roll is a thing I got to worry about too. Actually, I think I want the 8 iron instead. I'm still on an average actually, it's going to be either way. I'm more likely to have no left-right flight than I am to have flight in either direction. Let's see, that's a 12, which on an iron shot is a 14, which is going to be a problem most likely. 14 is 170. 2 is going to be right 10, so I did hit that a little bit too far. So 170. Oop, jarring the camera, sorry about that. So 50, 55, 60, 65, 70. So we're going to end up here. So what did we say? 12 was a 14. So 170, 2 is right 10, and roll 5. So 170, right 10, and we're very much in the trees on that one. We don't get the roll on that because we landed in the trees. Let's see. So now, since we're only 1 square in, anything special that I need? Oh, so we add 5. So we actually are going to end up here, which is still enough to be in the trees. Because I forgot to add 5 to the flight of my tee shot. Let's see. So we are in. So I got to pull out my tree charts again. Let's see. We got to see what kind of lie we've got here. Pin location and use for the round. The ball is considered behind trees if a straight line drawn from the ball to each of the following locations intersects trees. Well, we've got a pretty short approach if I want to try to bring this out. So chip back. I definitely don't want to chip out. Because I want to try to go for, if within a short approach distance, golfer may not aim at the pin and must use 1 column further out for result lookup. So it looks like we can't aim for the pin. I'll call an approach. Call an approach 5-10. So wedge 10, but I have to aim. Actually, I can't aim for the pin on that one. So let's grab the wedge shot. So we have to aim for. So it looks like we have to aim for the middle of the green, which is going to be out here, I think. Yes. So it looks like we're aiming 15. So it looks like we're actually going for a wedge 15. looking for the center of the green. That's a 65 on an iron shot. 65 is a 26. That sounds like a problem. 26. So we're aiming for the middle. So we're 10 short and right 5. So we're going to end up, I think, about, so we're 10 short and right 5. So we end up getting a terrible lie there. So minus 10, right 5. And now we need to roll once I find my putting chart again. I may just end up taking that putting chart out at this point. Let's see, wedge shot. Yeah, let's just grab this putt length chart. So we're 0 by, we're not on the hole, so it looks like we're 5 by 5 yards out, so 23 feet minus 2 dice. $11 feet out, so, or 11, so we're 12 feet out. Let's see, our putting chart that we need to know here is putting chart 4 for all first putts to pin locations 1, 3, and 4. So we want putting chart 4 for our first putt. Let's see, 12 feet. We don't have a lot of ways that this is in. But let's see what we get out of this. That's a 45. 45 on a putt is a 14. That's not likely to be in from 12 feet out. 25 or 45 was a 14. So that's 2 inches out. So that's inches. So inches, we'll give a quick roll for that, but that should be in barring just about anything crazy. 64 on a putt is a 12, and yeah, that'll be in. So we 2-putt and go to 1 over on the day. And we've got a par 4, 410. Looks like we got trees off to either side of us. The green, or the pin we're going for is 10, 15, 20, and 10 off the center line. So I think here, we just grab the drive here. I think we just grab the driver and grip it and rip it. We'll aim right on the center line because I've got really no other landmarks that I might want to put this on. Let's see what we get for this drive. That's a 52, which is a 26. That seems like a problem. 26 is going to be 250. Oh, geez. Let's see. 4 is, yikes, right 55 with roll 30. That's going to be a terrible drive. So 250. And what did we say? Right 55? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So we are deep in the trees on this one. And this is something, this now turns into something else I don't like about ASG Golf all of a sudden, where you have some of these obscene results. You can see here that I'm almost off the hole. I think much more flight left or right than that, I would be off the hole, and suddenly I wouldn't know what terrain I'm looking at. In fact, I'm just looking here, and yeah, I've got some results that if I would have gotten a 26 on that hole, I would be right 70, so I would be off the hole. Now, that's probably something that happened with APA as well, but it is worth noting, at least in my opinion, that it can be a problem. So it seems like it's going to be something just inherent with golf games, I think. But yeah, that was an absolutely terrible drive. So now we are very much buried in the trees, and I think we're definitely going to be looking to chip this one out. So I think we want to chip out 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Let's chip out 65. We're going to chip 65 and go for the fairway. With an iron rating of a 3. Excuse me. 63 is going to be a 3P. So 3, since we were aiming for the fairway, looks like we have a perfect chip out. And then the P from any terrain, add 12 on, hold on. So 63 was a 3, so we add 12 to that, it becomes a 15. So we get a +5 and left 5. So we were chipping out 60, so +5, left 5. So we end up back here slightly, which isn't terrible. And we are, I think we're 5 off of our alignment for the pin. So 5, 5, 105, 125, 150, 55, 60, 65. So we've got 165 to go. Do I have anything that can get me to 165 on an average? I think here I'm going to reach for the 9-iron. Troy Sawyer, having played APA and ASG, which do you prefer? Increasingly, I'm preferring APA of the two more and more. There's some stylistic changes about ASG that kind of bother me. In fact, if you saw the last shot when I chipped out, I was actually all the way over here. I was almost off the hole, which I think is just the nature of the beast which I think is probably just going to be an inherent problem with these golf games in general, but it is a detail enough to bother me a bit. And while I like the what's the word I want? Well, I like the overhead view essentially of the hole in ASG over the side view in APA. I think everything is just everything's so much simpler in APA, where the rules are also, to me at least, laid out a lot better. So that's just my slight ramble on preferring APA over ASG, but I will have more to say about that during Pinot with Phoenix at the end of this week. Can't believe the end of November is already coming up. So we were saying, I think we were putting this one, I think we're trying to put this one on the pin, but let's see what happens with the 9-iron from the fairway. .43 on an iron shot is a 3, so that's an average, which is going to be 155. The 2 is right 5. And we've got roll 5. All right, so coming back here, nothing special to worry about. So 5, 155, right 5, roll 5. All right, so that was actually a pretty good shot. And now that I actually remembered to pull my putting chart out, we'll figure out how far off the pin we are. So we're 5 by 5, which means we're 23 feet minus 2 dice. So 23 minus 6 is 17 feet away. Let's see, we are looking for putting chart for all other putts 15 feet or longer. This is a 15-foot or 17-foot putt, so we need putting chart 2. The separate putting charts 2 is something else that I have mixed feelings about that, where yes, I like having the separate charts for the different flavor of each course, but on the same token, it's a little bit annoying that I have to keep flipping around the charts where I have just one place to go for my putting charts and APA. So I think I like the standardization a little bit more on the putts and APA better. Let's see what happens here. Actually, let's bring the pin up. So we're on the yellow pin, but we were aiming for the red one. So now let's see what happens on our putt here. We got a 17-foot putt to try for a birdie. Actually, no, we're trying to save par. That's a 56. I don't think that's going to save par for us. That's a 29. Yeah, no. Let's see, that's a 29. So we're going to end up with a 2-foot putt. And now we have to go to putting. Now we have to go to putting chart 1. Also, don't like having to change putt charts in the middle of a green session. That's a little bit annoying too. Our second putt, 26, is a 30. That should be in on a 2-foot putt, and it is. Yep. So we end up 2-putting. We're at 1 over, and now we're at 2 over on the day. Mickelson not having a good round here in ASG Golf. We've got our 8th hole, and holy cow. I think this is probably the hole that is showing me, okay, so we deduct 10 yards from the flight of all second shots. We can see our pin is way toward the back of the green up here. Might be a little bit hard to see, but I'm trying to point it out with my pen. Let's put a blue flag down so I can maybe make that pin jump out a little bit better of where we're trying to go. You guys can tell me if you can see that flag up there in the chat and or the comment section down below if you're watching this after the fact. So, yeah, not having the tee on this hole is really bothering me. So I think we want to put this one, bearing in mind that we've got to play into a dog leg, I think we're going to put this one, I think I'm going to put this one about here. I want to go 10 left of the center line, but I'm going to be aiming on the center line. So once again, we're just going to grab the driver on the par 5 8th hole, 570 yards. We're just going to grab the driver and we're going to grip it and rip it. That's a 21, which is a 4. That should be a decent drive. Let's see, 4 is going to be 265. That's a 1, left 10, and roll 35. We're going to go, so we're aiming on the center line, so 265, left 10, which is exactly where I wanted to be, 5, 10, roll 35, 5, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35. So we're actually in the rough, which I wanted to still be on the fairway, but there's no help for that at this point. But we do have some rough charts, so let's see if we get a lie, because there's a special rule that was detailed on the first hole. 1 to 3, we get a good lie, but we have 4 to 6, we have to use the rough as normal. That's a 1, so we get a good lie on the rough. So what do I want for my second shot? And I've got to bear in mind that I'm deducting 10 yards from the flight of my second shot. Here I think we're going to move 10 yards. And we're going to move our center line 10 yards, and I want to try to put this one. Let's see, how much do I want to hit this one? I don't want to necessarily kill it. I am coming off the rough, though. Do I maybe... I don't think I want my 3-wood here. I think that's almost going to be too much. Maybe we do put more club into this. Yeah, I think we're going to reach for a 3-wood here. On an average of a 3, I want to try to put this one. So if that's my center line, I basically want to try to clear this dog leg if I can. So I want to try to put this one about here. So it might be a little bit hard to see, but this arrow is marking my center line, and then the yellow flag is where I'm trying to put this one. So let's see what happens on our second shot. We're using our 3-wood. Probably putting more club than I need into it, but let's find out. That's a 12 on a wood, which is a 16. That seems bad. So 210. 4 is going to be left 25. And roll 25. So let's see if we got it where I wanted it. So this is our center line. No, this is our center line. So 200. We're 10 off the center line. 510. And then we wanted left 25, so we're going back this way. 5, 10, 15, 25. So we're going to end up in trees again. Delightful. And we don't get our roll because we're landing in trees. So no roll to worry about there. Take a quick sip of my Crystal Light, and then we'll continue on. Much better. Okay, so now what do we want to do here? Sorry, just catching up on my stuff on my phone. Oh yeah, they still make Crystal Light. Let's see. So we're looking at... Where's my pen so I can figure this out? All right, so if we move... We're going to have to move back to the center. We're going to have to move... Question is, do we chip this out and then go for the pin, or do we try to go for the pin now? I think I'd rather try to come out of this forest safely, and then I can worry about the pin. Let's go wedge 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So it's going to be wedge 40, middle of the fairway. So that's our target, which means I don't need the blue dye in here. That's like from the 80s and 90s. Then I don't like being reminded of that because it's reminding me that I'm getting old. 62 is a 3. That should let me come out of this cleanly. So yeah, perfect chip out. So I put that one exactly where I wanted it to go. So I put that one... I put that one right there, and now we're in line with the pin. Actually, I got to turn this red flag to the side. So I can... Actually, I was in line with the pin. Yeah, that's where I was. Okay, so now we're going to go for a wedge, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Wedge 50, and I think we're going to aim for the pin. Excuse me. Let's see what we get here on this iron, on this approach shot. That's a 64, which is a 2P. P, I've got to add 12. That's a 2, and 12 is going to become a 14. So 14. Since we were going for the pin, we're going to end up 5 short and left 5. So 5 short and left 5. So we're ending up on the green pin. So since we're 5 by 5 again, we're 23 feet minus 2 dice. Five, so 18 feet away. Trying to see if we can save par, and we need putting chart 1. Get in there. All right, so putting chart 1 for 16 to 20 feet. Yikes. Not a lot of ways this is in, but let's see what we can do with it. 41 is probably not one of those ways it's in. 20 does not seem likely. Nope, that's going to be a 1-footer. This one for bogey. .43 is a 15. That should be in from 1 foot away. And what did we say? 43 was a 15. And yes, that will be in. So we 2-putt the green, and we're ending up 3 over on the day. I think this is probably going to be the last. I think this 9th hole is going to be the last one of the stream. So we've got another dogleg coming up here. Add 20 to the flight of all tee shots. Must be on a downhill slope. The pin that we're aiming for is all the way up here. I think we're just going to hit it on the center line, just grip it and rip it. I know I'm saying that a lot in this stream, but yeah, that's really what we're doing here. We're just going to try to put this right on the center line. So let's put the driver to use once again. .22. Oh boy. That's a 12. That looks like it's going to be a long drive. Let's get the right chart up, Phoenix. All right, so I think that's on a 4, but that's very much a cocked die. Let's see, 22 we established was a 12. And yep, that's a long drive. So a 12 with a 4 is going to be 290. Roll 45, so dead straight. So actually, we've got to add another 20 to that, which means we get 310. Is it 20 we're adding? Yes. Mickelson with a very long drive. He smashes that one. So 310 and roll 45. So 310, 5. Actually, yeah. 310, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Somehow after all of that, he's still on the fairway. Just barely, and now it's faint now that I've put the red flag on there, but he is still on the fairway. That was a drive. Let's see. So now we were looking at moving 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So we're going to have to move over 30 yards left to get to that center line, which is going to require me to add some distance into my aim shot, Let me see if I can. Oh, it's on the same putting chart. So 30, we're going to have to aim possibly another 5 yards, depending on what club I want to reach for. 5, 10, 15. Actually, let's do it this way. So they're 20, 45, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 105, 10, 15, 20. So 120. And we're looking at a par 4 hole here, so 120 yards. And I need to account for subtracting 10 yards from a shot landing on the green. So let's say, so I probably want 130 on this. Actually, do I want 130 or do I want... No, I think I want 120 on this one. So 120 on an average. I think here I want, and I'm coming off the fairway, so I need to keep that in mind. Actually, this could be a shorter wedge shot. So yeah, let's go for wedge 120, and I'm going to aim for the pin. Actually, how much do I need to aim for that? Was that going straight? 5, 10, 30. Okay, so hold on. 20, 45, 25, wait, 45, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 105, 10, 15, 20. So possibly I'd have to aim 120. I'd have to go 125, which is actually still just at the top of the range. So we are going to aim for the pin at a 125. So we're looking at an iron rating of a 3. 44. Iron rating is a 1, so 3 on a 1. We're aiming for the pin, so we're going to end up 5 short and right 5. So we're ending up 5 short. And actually, that lands on the green, so we do have to deduct 10 yards from that. 5, 10, and right 5. So we're up over here. We're 1 by 3 away from that. So that's a 5 by 15 yards. 53 minus 2 dice. So we'll see how ugly this putt is. That is horrendous. That's a 49-foot putt. And we need putting chart. And shot stopping on the first cross line of the green, which it didn't. So we need putting chart 1. And from 49 feet away, we are definitely going to lag this one up there. Because we've got a very low chance of getting it in there. So yeah, let's just play this one safe. We'll lag it up there. This is a birdie putt, but the round we're having, we're just going to play it safe. That's a 24, which is a 36. Good thing we played it safe. 36, we lagged it up there, so we're 6 feet away. And now we've got a 6-foot putt trying to save par. That's a 41, which is a 20 on a 6-foot putt, and that will be in to save par. So we 2-putted plus 1, and we're 4 over on the day. And I think that's where we're going to conclude this stream of ASG Golf. Like I mentioned when Troy asked about it earlier, having played both APA and ASG, I'm very much starting to prefer APA of the two. There's enough stylistic differences here that I think I like APA a bit better. Yes, APA is a bit more expensive than ASG to get a hold of, but I think there's enough detail in APA. And actually, it just seems to me that at least that I think APA is a little bit more straightforward, where the rules, I think, are explained a little bit better. And I like having the side view where I'm able to see the tee more often than not, so I can use that to help plan my shots. But again, I'll have more to say about that during Pinot with Phoenix at the end of this month. So again, that will do it for this playthrough of ASG Golf. We've got a lot of stuff coming up on the channel. So later this afternoon, there may be another stream coming to the channel. I haven't completely decided yet. I've got a few things going on today that I need to sort out, but hopefully we'll be back with another stream later this afternoon. Actually, there is at least one stream we're going to be doing. I'm not sure if there might be a game stream, but don't hold me to that yet. The stream I know I'm doing for sure later this afternoon is we're going to have the intro for this year's Christmas in Arkham campaign, and I can't believe that's coming up already. So that will be later this afternoon for sure. Again, game stream later, but don't be surprised about that. Thanks for the stream. Enjoy the games I play. Thank you for the kind words on that, Troy. Hopefully you'll stick around. Hopefully you'll stop by later with other streams that I'm doing today. I know tomorrow for sure we're going to have another Mythos Monday on the channel as we play Arkham Horror, the role-playing game. Wednesday, we are going to be somewhere in the Fate of the Elder Gods tournament during Christmas in Arkham. More on that later this afternoon. Saturday, Saturday Mystical Munchies will conclude out of the unofficial Disney Parks cookbook with the dessert Jungle Juleps. Next week, we'll be into the Christmas in Arkham proper campaign with the first leg as we play Eldritch Horror. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.